Okay. Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. This is the Manny Pacquiao Mario Barrios card, picking it up in the third round of the Fundora Tszyu rematch. Tszyu's been getting battered so far. He was dropped in the first round. He was battered against the ropes in the second round. Here in the third round, he's getting outboxed with Fundora on the front foot. Dominating proceedings. Tszyu, perhaps, I don't want to make any excuses for him here, but maybe was damaged in that first Fundora fight and then further damaged against Murtazaliev. Is this not the same version of Tszyu anymore? You guys let me know what you think in the chat. Yes, big up Little Jacob, Stephen Dodd, Gordon Dalglish. What's up? What's up? What do you guys think about this fight so far? Fundora versus Tszyu II. Because the first fight was kind of seen as an upset by a lot of people. Fundora wasn't expected. He wasn't supposed to beat Tszyu, but he did. But this time around, Tszyu hasn't had a look in yet. Because the first fight, to be fair, was competitive. This rematch so far has not been competitive. Crack. Just watching a slow-mo of a beautiful left hand from Fundora in that third round. Isaac says Tszyu getting beat up. The first fight damaged his career. Looks like it so far, but again, that Murtazaliev defeat also damaged him. Anyway, here we are in round 4. Let's see if Tszyu has got anything, because as things stand right now and the pace at which Fundora likes to work at, Tszyu would be doing very well to last the course in this fight and not get stopped. Because he's been hurt already, been down, been under serious pressure. Can he make any adjustments? Obviously giving away a lot in height and reach. Tszyu's around, 5'10"? Fundora's like 6'5", 6'6". And he's using that reach quite well in this fight. Normally he likes to fight really up close. And he is fighting up close in spots here, but in the middle of the ring, he's using that reach quite well. Fundora, the towering inferno, they should call him Daddy Longlegs. There's a big shot there from Fundora, He's got Tszyu trapped in the corner again. Comes back with a left. Fundora keeps the shots coming. He's got Tszyu on the end of the punches. Yeah, never mind towering inferno, they should call him Daddy Longlegs. So Tszyu has now resorted to kind of laying back, looking for one big counter to maybe turn the tide of this fight. He's landed a couple, but nothing that's hurt Fundora noticeably yet. Fundora just dominating behind the long reach, consistent punches, breaking Tszyu down. Gordon Dalglish says, looks like Tszyu needs to move his head more to get inside. I'd say, yeah. Tszyu did land a shot there. Is he starting to find his timing, his range? He's winging that big right hand in. But much like his dad, Tszyu, I don't think really has the biomechanics for head movement. You know, he's a upright guy just like his dad was, who relies heavily on the backhand straight down the pipe. He's not as good as his dad, but very similar stylistically and biomechanically. Okay, Tszyu's managed to draw blood from Fundora's nose. This is looking a little more similar to the first fight at the back end of this round 4. Obviously, Tszyu suffered a very bad facial injury in that first fight. Oh, that was a nice left from Tszyu. Okay. Starting to come into it. All right, we might have a fight on our hands. Because things are looking very shaky for Tszyu in those first 3 rounds. But yeah, back end of that round there. Okay. He's finally showed up. First round boxing says I'm sad over Dubois. Why? Nothing against Dubois, but I was glad to see Don Charles not get a victory. Having a look at some slow-mo here. That was a nice right hand to the jaw from Tszyu. Timed it well. But then he caught plenty of shots himself from Fundora. There's a left hand again from Tszyu. You're seeing the slow-mo. Here we go. Round number 5, Fundora Tszyu, part 2. Fundora on the front foot. I want to say he definitely won the first 3 rounds. Round 4, Tszyu started coming into it late in that round. Landed some decent shots. Drew blood from Fundora's nose, did Tszyu. So Tszyu starting to come into it at the back end of the previous round. Let's see what he can do here. 30 seconds into round 5. Right, left from the southpaw Fundora. Fundora with a nice double backhand. Oh, that's a nice shot from Tszyu. Nicely timed right hand. Very good shot. Finding his range here, Tszyu. Another right hand from Tszyu. He landed a lot of those right hands in the first fight too, but he was fighting through a mask of blood pouring into his eyes, right? This time, despite the rough start, he doesn't have that type of facial injury. Not as of yet. So let's see what he can do with that right hand as this fight unfolds. Oh, gets caught with a left hand though from Fundora in return. It's heating up here, folks. It's heating up. Tszyu's finding some range. Uppercuts from Fundora. Okay, so there is creative offense from Fundora with the unusual punch sequences, throwing the double straight left, but he needs to be careful throwing that too much because that will give Tszyu an opportunity to counter him over that left hand if he's throwing 2 all the time. Do you know what I mean? Some head movement here from Tszyu on the back foot. Is he starting to read Fundora's offense now? Uppercut from Fundora. Right hand back from Tszyu doesn't land. I think it hit Fundora on the shoulder. But he's got the right idea. Tszyu backing up into the corner. 44 seconds left in round number 5. It's a more competitive round. Big swiping left from Tszyu misses. Fundora popping that southpaw jab. Walking Tszyu down. The backhand is behind it. Tszyu lands a right hand on Fundora's shoulder. I'm sure he was aiming for the chin. The trajectory of the shot wasn't quite right. Tszyu moving his head to get away from some Fundora shots on the back foot. Competitive round here. Tszyu has managed to get out of that bad neighborhood that he was in the first few rounds. Shout out to anyone joining the chat. Shout out to Stephen Dodd. Will says that George Fox guy, aka Abdi. Yes, big up Ben Wilson. Shout out to Ross Kemp. Just checking in who's winning. Well, Fundora's winning so far, Ross. Although Tszyu's coming back into it. Tszyu got dropped in the first round. He got battered in the second round. He got beaten in the third round. But he started to come into it in the fourth and the fifth. So he's certainly behind on the cards at this stage. But it's starting to get a bit more competitive. after the first couple rounds, I was thinking Tim Tszyu's going to get blown out here, but he's managed to come through a rough spell. Round 6. Tim Tszyu, though, all right, Fundora opening up. So the PBC scorecard guy, Larry Hazard, who used to be the commissioner of, I think, Nevada State Athletic Commission. Anyway, he's got it 49-45 to Fundora. So he's got Fundora very much ahead. But like I say, Tim Tszyu is coming into it. Nice right hand from Tim Tszyu. Right hand to the body from Tim Tszyu. But Fundora, as usual, keeping those hands moving. He's not putting power in every shot, just keeping the hands moving to keep Tim Tszyu's defense busy, having him thinking about defense, and then, of course, he mixes in harder shots amidst the lighter shots. Just keeping Tszyu busy on defense. But Fundora bleeding quite badly from the nose now. That nosebleed was caused in the previous round, courtesy of a right hand from Tim Tszyu. Fundora more active here, though. That's a nice left hand from Fundora. Left hand from Fundora. I'm seeing blood on Tszyu, but I think that's from Fundora's nose. That might be affecting Fundora's breathing now, because the nose is bleeding profusely. And it's not just the nose which can get affected by a bloody nose. The blood from the bloody nose can start pouring down the back of your throat, right? That way. And that can become very uncomfortable. Oh, good jab there from Tim Tszyu. Right hand from Tszyu. Fundora coming back with a left. Tszyu picking his shots quite well now. There is some damage, though, under the left eye of Tim Tszyu, some bruising there. It's not anything which should affect his vision at this stage, though. But something to watch. Left hand from Fundora. Poking out that right jab, but Fundora's a little one-paced now. Oh, right hand from Tszyu. Tszyu's definitely timing him here. The height difference is always crazy in these Fundora fights. You know, guys like a 6'6" junior middleweight. So bizarre. That's the end of the round. Shout out to those locking in the live chat. We've got Bexy. We've got Jason Turner. Yep, Stephen Dodd says Fundora is so peculiar to watch. He really is. He's like a big spider. Shout out to Chief Wiggum. Goozy. Big up, big up. Connor is back in the chat. Big up, Connor. Cash. Shout out to Cash. And that's actually true. He says, Fundora looks like the hybrid human xenomorph from Romulus. He does. That's not even trying to be funny or disrespectful. He literally looks like that. It's crazy. You're seeing the slow-mo here. All right, here we go. Round number 7. 10 seconds in. Damn, Tim Tszyu still working for PBC? Doing commentary? With his jean jackets? Fundora keeping them hands busy. Right hands to the body from Tszyu. See, the thing about fighting somebody who's freakishly tall for the weight like Fundora is that it's so unusual that most of these guys don't really work on the skills necessary throughout their careers to be able to get close to somebody who's this much taller than them. You know? A lot of boxing fans will say, oh, why is he not moving his head? Why is he not? He's never had to box that way, Tszyu, to deal with this level of height and reach disparity. It's not like the heavyweight division where you get guys who are 5'10" like Mike Tyson fighting people who are 6'5" like Tony Tucker or 6'6" like Tyrell Biggs on a regular basis. Okay? In such a division, yeah, you're going to get guys who specialize in getting underneath shots and getting close real quick and throwing off rapid fire combinations because those type of height disparities are more common at heavyweight. In these lower weight classes, the height disparities are not normally as big. Oh, big exchanges here. Fundora had Tszyu under pressure. Tszyu came back with a big swiping right hand. Nice shot and a left hook from Tszyu. Just over a minute left in round 7. Big exchange in this round. Another right hand from Tszyu, but an uppercut from Fundora. This is nice action here. Left hand from Tszyu was a great shot. Fundora, I thought, wanted to hold for a second, but he decides to fire back with an uppercut himself. At close quarters, obviously, that's where Tszyu wants it to be, as long as he's getting the better of it. Nice left hand from Tszyu. Walk Fundora onto it, and a right hand and a left. This is the best spell that Tszyu's had in the fight, of consistent punches landed. Oh, nice left hand, no, back from Fundora. Tszyu coming back with a right. Real nice round here. Good action. At the back end of the 7th. Tszyu with a right to the chest of Fundora. All right, Tszyu backed against the ropes. Fundora unloading, the uppercut gets through. Tszyu. All right, good action round there. Who won that round on your scorecards? Let me know, guys. I want to say that Fundora is still ahead, but Tszyu's definitely clawing his way back. Definitely clawing his way back. Referee Harvey Duck taking a close look at Tszyu here. Very close look at Tszyu. Crack. But Tszyu landed some real good shots himself in that round. I'm not sure why Harvey Duck is so concerned about Tszyu. Oh, they've stopped the fight. Wow. What happened there? Tszyu was landing good shots, but somehow the fight's been waved off. Somebody's pulled the plug. Who was it? I'd like to know what happened there. Wave says Tim pulled a Billy Joe sausages. Did he quit? Is there something wrong with him? I hope he's okay, because he did take some heavy punishment in the early part of the fight. Obviously hope there's no serious issue there. Because it was weird that after having success in that round there, they decided to pull the plug. Let's have a look. So referee Harvey Duck's in the corner there. He's talking to the corner team, and the corner decided to wave it off. All right, so yeah, Tszyu basically quit. All right. Tszyu, according to the PBC commentary team, did actually quit. Well, hang on. Okay, yeah. Tszyu quit. No mas. Cash says the uppercuts at the end of the round were brutal. Isaac says, I feel bad for Tim, how his career just changed. I believe this is the penultimate fight before the main event. Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. Just going through some of the comments I haven't previously read here. The Towering Inferno gets the second win over Tszyu. Shout out to Stephen Dodd. He says, who you got in the Pac-Man fight, Hatman? Look, Manny Pacquiao anywhere close to his best makes mincemeat of Mario Barrios. Absolutely shreds him. But a Pacquiao at whatever he is, 40, 45, 46, very inactive. Mario Barrios should win the fight. You know? Even though he's a poor champion at welterweight, with the age advantage he has, the activity advantage, he should win the fight. Listening to Tszyu here. Tszyu looks okay, but I don't know, he just decided to quit. Weird. Sebastian Fundora literally looks like he works in IT. You'd never imagine this guy was a boxer. Looks like an IT nerd. Wave says, I don't think it's going to be competitive at all. So I guess you're going for Barrios to win against Pacquiao, or are you going for Pacquiao? What do you think? Let me tell you something about Don Charles, since we're talking about the Usyk-Dubois rematch. Don Charles demonstrated, he and his son, how foolish they are with their complete lack of understanding of human psychology as regards to psychological warfare in boxing. That they hadn't a clue what they were doing. They thought that, you know, talking about the low blow and acting like it was legit and undermining Usyk's faith in God and all this type of stuff was going to help them in the fight. No, it worked against them all along. Shout out to Connery, says, Mutazaliev versus Fundora should be next. I agree. Steven says, desperate tactics it was. Yeah, that's what it was. But also foolish. Not just desperate, but foolish. Some people under pressure when their back's against the wall, when they're up against it. Some teams at least make some correct moves on the psychological front. But Team Dubois did not. They had no idea what they were doing from a psychological perspective at all. And I'm talking about Don Charles and his son Abdi. I'm not going to call him George Fox. I call him Abdi. They had no idea what they were doing at all. Give me a second here, folks. So Pacquiao, Barrios up next. Commission just inspecting the gloves and signing off on Pacquiao's gloves. Waved says Adam Booth was a master at psychological warfare in fights. Yeah, he was pretty good. Wave says Pacquiao Barrios is going to be a one-sided beating like Tyson versus Jake Paul. That's right, Chief Wiggum. I was saying this to my friend earlier on. Usyk Dubois gets KO'd twice, but Anthony Joshua goes the distance twice but loses to Dubois. It's boxing, yeah. Boxing is rock, paper, scissors, folks. It's styles make fights. And that's why I don't agree with the people who are saying there's nobody in the world that can beat Usyk. This is heavyweight boxing. One punch can change defeat, almost what would seem like almost certain defeat into victory in the heavyweight division. That's why I think Usyk should call it a day. Don't allow an opportunity for somebody who, again, in his prime, wouldn't be able to lace his boots to beat him, to land some crazy punch and, do you know what I mean? Put a blemish on his record. It'd be a shame. Bexy says, Dubois said he was led down the wrong path tonight, the wrong advice. So maybe Don Charles is out because he was listening to his dad, Stan. But Don Charles is saying one thing, Stan saying something else. All right, let me just take a little refreshment break before we come back for this Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios fight. So hold tight, folks. Be back in a few ticks. What a state. What a state boxing in America is in. They can barely fill out arenas. Manny Pacquiao was to come back at damn near 46. He's not even American. To pack out a big arena. Calls himself El Azteca. Looks like an Aztec warrior, to be fair. So far in his career, he hasn't fought like one. I mean, he's shown heart, but the skills ain't really been there. So there's a Aztec warrior dance. It'd be cool if you could actually speak the Aztec language, though. I'm not sure what the Aztec language is called. Let's just call it Aztec for now. That'd be cool. Because most Mexicans, or at least most Mexican fighters from what I've seen, they don't really draw from the indigenous Mexican ancestry, you know, Mesoamerican ancestry that they have. Some of them do, but most of them really don't. They more draw on the European ancestry they have from Spain. Jimmy Nail says, why is Pacquiao coming out last? For the same reason that AJ came out last against... Okay, let me sort the graphic out. Yeah, same reason that AJ came out last against Dubois, because he was the cash cow. The champion's supposed to come out last. The champion's supposed to be on the left-hand side of the poster. The champion's name is supposed to be first, and of course that's Mario Barrios here. But as you can see on my graphic, even I've put Pacquiao first because it catches the eye. Even in my tags, I put Pacquiao's name first rather than Barrios' name. Is it a disrespect? Yeah, it is. But I'm trying to do views here, folks. As are PBC, Amazon Prime, right? Mario Barrios, let's be real, is an obscure fighter. George says, what are you calling this one tonight, Hatman? Barrios should win, you know? And against an old, inactive man. Last time I saw Pacquiao in the ring, he looked terrible. That was an exhibition. He looked awful. When was that, last year? Earlier on this year? I forget, time flies these days. So, I'm thinking Barrios should win. But, let's see if Manny Pacquiao can turn back the clock. Again, certainly in his prime, Pacquiao would have made mincemeat of Mario Barrios. I mean, this is literally fodder for a prime Pacquiao. He would have torn Mario Barrios to pieces. Shout out to Matt in the live chat. He says, did you see that turkey tweet? Which turkey tweet are you referring to? He sends a lot of tweets. Oh, on Tim Zhu, very tasteless. I thought he was quite funny, to be fair. Turkey's a troll. He's always trolling people. That's what he does. And it did make me laugh. Somebody posted it in the Element group, and I read it and just laughed. Turkey's a hell of a troll. He's a hell of a troll. Oh, is that right, Shola? Okay. Is that right? So Zhu did that, and I guess that's Turkey's get back. Wave says Turkey getting cancelled by PBC fanboys on Twitter right now. I don't think PBC fanboys can cancel anyone, to be fair. PBC ain't got that kind of clout anymore. Goozy says, I think Barrios will KO him to make a statement. Matt says, yo, that Akoli performance was the worst fight of the year. Do you agree, Hatman? No, I don't agree with that. There have been worse fights than that. Recently. There have been worse fights than that recently. There's one fight on the tip of my tongue somehow, which I can't think of, and it's probably for the best. It was worse than that. It wasn't a great fight, obviously, but no, I've seen worse than that this year. Striker says Barrios by stoppage. So I had a Tiger music. Manny Pacquiao in the ring. Freddie Roach, Dea. Entourage on deck. Filipinos in the crowd. Manny Pacquiao. Always harkening back to the 80s. Pacquiao was born in the 70s, I think. Late 70s? Or is it the early 80s? I forget when Pacquiao was born. He's around similar age to myself. Let's have a look. Manny Pacquiao. When was he born? I want to say late 70s. 78. Yeah, okay, late 70s. Late 70s. So he grew up in the 80s like me. Watching all those movies that had Eye of the Tiger. It was the era of the montage. The hero's journey. All that. Big up Travel with Jordan for the super chat. He says, what if Jake Paul knocks out Joshua? Would that be the biggest upset in boxing history? And would you be shocked if it happened? Eddie Hearn, LOL. It wouldn't be the biggest shock in boxing history because AJ is a washed up fighter. But would I be shocked? Absolutely, I'd be shocked. I don't think Jake Paul could beat Francis Ngannou, much less Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua went through Ngannou like a hot knife through butter. I think Anthony Joshua would toy with Jake Paul. I don't think that's even a competitive fight, to be honest. He'd stick Jake Paul on the end of a jab. The first time Jake Paul feels some of them heavyweight jabs, he's going to be shook to bits. He's going to be trying to move around. And I mean, there were moments in that fight against Chavez where Jake Paul looked anxious when his shots weren't having the desired effect. Against flipping Chavez. Chavez has quit twice. That's like 40 years. Like, no. I would be totally shocked if Anthony Joshua got knocked out by Jake Paul. I would expect Anthony Joshua to toy with Jake Paul and do whatever he wants with him. It's an experienced world-level fighter or former world-level fighter who's still only, 35, 36, going up against a YouTuber who's a total novice. No, it's not even a competitive fight. So, yeah, if Jake Paul somehow pulled it off, I'd be massively shocked. Bear in mind when the AJ Ngannou fight was made, many people were picking Ngannou to win, and at the very least, the majority of people were thinking that Ngannou would give AJ trouble. But I was resolute in my prediction. I said this is going to be a total mismatch. AJ will have no problems with Ngannou at all. You can't just pick up boxing one day and, start having success anywhere close to world level. Yeah, he had success against Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury's totally out of shape. Fury's one of them guys where he's either as good as the best of them or as bad as the worst. But a guy who always stays in shape like AJ, come on, man. Ngannou was never going to give him any problems. And an even more extreme scenario like that, if AJ were to fight Jake Paul. I'm not even sure Jake Paul's serious, to be honest. I know Turkey says the fight's on and Jake Paul says the fight's on, but Turkey's a troll and Jake Paul is a clout chaser. So I'll believe it when I see it, but if it does happen, Anthony Joshua wins that fight easy. Shout out to Matt. He says, you saw Tyson Fury put $1 million on Jake Paul knocking out AJ like he said. He put $8 million to charity. Dude, such a lie. Yeah, all Tyson Fury's doing, like I said in the previous stream earlier on in the evening, all Tyson Fury's doing is he's trying to distract from a fight between himself and Anthony Joshua. He doesn't want the public to start pushing for that fight because he wants to just come out of retirement and fight Usyk again. He doesn't want to be pressured into fighting anybody else because he doesn't want to risk not only the public not believing he's the number 1 heavyweight in the world, but not even believing he's the number 2 heavyweight in the world, which is what would happen if he lost to AJ. He'd be bumped right down to like number 7 or 8 if he lost to AJ. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't want to take that kind of risk. And I think he'd beat AJ. But again, we're talking about Tyson Fury's level of risk tolerance right now, and it's not very high these days. Anyway, let's get stuck into this Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios fight. Here we go, round 1, 5 seconds in. Barrios on the front foot. Manny Pacquiao, very much the shorter of the two, doubling his jab up there as he comes forward. Left hand for Manny Pacquiao. Whenever I say Pacquiao, for some reason, I feel like I want to say Pacquiao, like Bruiser. I forget which Manny Pacquiao, I forget which Bruiser freestyle or track it was where he started talking Pacquiao. Shout out to Bruiser. Anyway, nearly a minute done in round 1. Circumspect. I'll tell you what, it would be an embarrassment if Mario Barrios lost this fight. That would be embarrassing. I'm telling you, that's an embarrassment. As weak a champion as Barrios is, he's supposed to win this. This is supposed to be Barrios's commercial coming out party. Like getting his name on his record under the win column. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got the youth, he's got the activity. Pacquiao looked terrible last time he was in the ring. That was an exhibition. Pacquiao getting some combinations off. Mario Barrios not punching with him. Not countering. Manny Pacquiao throwing some shots but then stumbles over his own feet. Or did he slip on the advertisement on the canvas? I'm not sure. Pacquiao with those ginormous calf muscles. Looking like a middle American dad at Walmart. You know, they've always got them big calf muscles. Right onto the body for Mario Barrios. So Pacquiao round so far has just been more active. Barrios hasn't done anything. Pacquiao getting his left hand off. Barrios just shooting a jab. Pacquiao counter with his right. And you know, Barrios cannot afford to have a bunch of tight rounds in this fight because whenever Manny Pacquiao even gets close with a punch, the crowd are screaming. And that can't not affect the judges subconsciously at the very least. Good body shots there from Barrios to the back end of this first. There's the bell. Waved says Conor Benn loses to Pacquiao, I think. I don't think so. Maybe I'll change my mind at the end of this fight if Pacquiao wins, but I don't think so. Striker says Rolly Romero picked Jake Paul to beat AJ. It didn't sound like he was trolling. I don't get it. Well, that's just the American fighter's mentality, you know? Because AJ only fought once in the United States and he got beaten badly. Americans are of this bizarre mindset, which is like stuck in the 1980s, whereby if you haven't done it in America, then you haven't really done it at all. It's very weird. Since, their whole thing is you have to prove yourself in America or